For today's impromptu show and tell, I'm going to demonstrate this 1938 colour changer from a cinema organ console illuminated surround. In the UK especially, many consoles were equipped with a highly decorative glass surround, typically in an Art Deco style, that was internally lit by a large number of coloured filament lamps. These are the lamp trays from a typical surround. There are 72 lamps here in 3 circuits, red, green and blue, 60 watts per lamp, which by colour mixing under the control of the organist could produce a palette of perhaps 8 colours that would suit the mood of the music he was playing. He would have a row of stop keys or push buttons, giving red, green, blue, cyan, magenta, yellow, and in this case orange and sky blue as well. His push buttons controlled the lighting via this piece of equipment. For static colours, one or more of these contactors would be energised. I've got a low voltage power supply connected up to simulate the feeds from the console. I can connect a supply here. It brings on this contactor, which is dim green, and I get green. I could add blue, and I have cyan. I could add red, and I have yellow. But the real point of this piece of equipment was not to produce static colours, but to produce an ever-changing colour dissolve. And that's done by 3 rheostats driven by this fractional horsepower motor here. To set that in motion, I energise this contactor, which connects the lights to the dimmers, starts the motor, and that drives through its gearbox and this bicycle chain wheel here on a shaft that rotates at about 1 revolution per minute. That carries with it 3 cams. Each cam works 1 dimmer. You'll see a follower on the end of a lever which is pressed against the cam by the weight that you can see sliding up and down in the background. That combination moves the actuator arm on one of these 3 wire-wound resistance dimmers. Each dimmer consists of 2 resistance banks of graded resistance wire, as is required for a tungsten lighting dimmer. At this low resistance end you'll see a small number of large gauge wire turns, and at the high resistance end a very large number of a much smaller gauge wire to produce a much higher resistance per step. Each of these coils connects to a contact stud, which you can see in an arc around this contact plate, and there's a mirror image of that, the studs of which are bridged across by the moving wiping contact on the end of the arm. You can just see a moving contact sliding across there. The output of each of these dimmers was fed to the lighting trays. If I now dim the house lights, you can see the effect it produces. So we have yellow, which is red and green. The green lamp's now being extinguished, and we have solid red. Now the blue lamps are being introduced, and that gives us magenta. The red lamps are now fading to give us a brief moment of solid blue, and now the green lamp's coming up to give us cyan. The blue lamps fade out to give us solid green, and the red lamps come up, and we're back to yellow where we started. This colour sequence could be left running to produce a visual aspect to the console without any input required from the organist. This particular unit, made by Holophane in 1938, illuminated the surround of the Stockport Ritz Wurlitzer. That organ still exists, still has its wonderful glass surround. The lighting inside's been modernised. And so we now have this colour changer, which hopefully one day will be controlling some decorative lighting as Electrokinetica. We have another unit made by Strand, which works slightly differently, and we'll show you that in another video. Thanks for watching.